Hey guys, and welcome to another edition of The Kevin Moore Show. Now on today's show, I'm about to be joined by my guest, Pat Zimmerman. Now I interviewed Pat whilst I was in the USA, and I did this interview in person at a healing center in Ohio. Now just to give you a bit of background on Pat, she's been on her spiritual journey her entire life. Pat began her spiritual journey over 25 years ago, and throughout this time has spent time reading a countless number of spiritual books, taking numerous courses in spirituality, metaphysics, and healing. Now, Pat began working as an energy practitioner in 2003 and became an ordained spiritual minister and counselor in 2004. Now, Pat is certified in many different healing modalities and teaches courses in healing, metaphysics, the spiritual path, and past life regression. She is also a published author and runs the healing center White Dove Circle of Love and Light in Ohio. So enjoy my interview with Pat. So Pat Zimmerman, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I'm at the White Dove Circle of Love and Light in Ohio, and we'll just put the address at the bottom of the screen right now where you're based. Now, we've come here because there was others that were going to be interviewed for the documentary that I'm doing, and you had a whole weekend of different events going on, so thank you for allowing us to come down here. Thank you for the food as well. And I thought it was important maybe to show people as a healer who maybe will be inspired by this interview to want to open up their own healing centers as well, because that's something that obviously you're working on as well. How did this come about? How did White Dove come about?
White Dove started 9 years ago. We started in my house. And so we had people coming from all over, from Lima, Ohio to Kentucky coming up. We had them coming from Indiana, Columbus, all over. And so we decided for those that were south, because it was such a distance for them, it was well over an hour, that we would open up a second branch, and that was at our founding board member Jim Wachter's house. So all the people from Cincinnati and Kentucky and around would come to the classes there, and then everybody north would come to my classes. We were waiting for the right time so that we could be guided, because as with any recipe, if you don't have all the ingredients and you don't follow the directions, if you trying to make a cake and you leave it in too long, it burns. If you take it out too early, it falls, and it's never right. And if you do that and it fails, you never do it again. So for me, I was always trusting and waiting to be guided so that I would know when it was the right time. People being ready, not just me. And if I had started back then, I wouldn't be where I am now.
So everything you did, all the jobs that you had before, because prior to this, you wasn't always doing this type of healing work, were you? No.
Prior to this, I've been an executive secretary. I've been a controller of a small organization in charge of HR, the 401k, leading the office, all of the financials, everything. I've been a graphics artist. I've been a program manager of a very large account, $2.5 million account with many, many multifacets to the account. I've done many different things and been in marketing and sales and all, and every one of those has come into play in what I'm doing now. The accounting, the marketing, the sales, the PR, everything. I've had a background in everything.
Because this is a non-for-profit.
This is a non-for-profit.
Makes it a bit more difficult, I bet, getting that running smoothly and, getting it set up in the first place. It's not so straightforward.
Right. It was the first time we've ever done anything like that. We've learned a lot by ourselves.
I bet you have.
Moving and setting things up, including learning how to do a website ourselves and everything.
We've done a fantastic job, and we'll take people around on a bit of a guided tour just a bit later on in the interview, just to show the different healing modalities that you are doing. And you also want to expand this as well, don't you?
Yes, we do. I started out, we have what's called the Taste of Healing, and we started out doing this 9 years ago, one day, once a year, and now it's grown into 3 times a year, 5 days long. People come from all over the country for this, and of course you now from England, and people find out about it and they come. We have wonderful healing that's done. I've done the psychic shows before in the festivals where you go and you have a booth. But I stopped doing that because the true healing wasn't taking place. So I started doing it in my home. Every room in my home was a different place, because unless you have the tears and you work things out, you're not really doing much healing. You have to be able to help people to shift and change, and that's where the true healing comes in. Once they shift and change, tears come with it, and people are not going to open up like that at a festival.
Before I leave the psychic stuff that you were just mentioning there, yeah, well, for psychics, for some people though, that's the only way in for some people.
Mm-hmm.
That's their maybe first way in or a continuous way in.
Mm-hmm.
I can't sit here and say that that type of work isn't needed, because I think it is.
Oh no, it's not. It is needed, but I'm just saying, for me, for what I was doing, we do here at White Dove Circle, we do much deeper healing. Our practitioners, we go back, we look at, we go much deeper
That's
than
right,
what
you do.
most
You
people
do, because
do.
we've just been here to observe and film a past life regression,
Mm-hmm.
which is one of those methods that you're talking about as well, that go much deeper. We'll just put a bit of footage on screen right now that was fascinating to see you do that. You were taught by the Dolores Cannon method.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Well, that's one of the methods. I was doing it long before then. But the Dolores Cannon method helped me to go into a deeper state.
Yeah, there's other methods for
There are other
regression as well.
methods,
Yeah, I'll just
yes.
and when you do it via Skype, you're doing different methods that way as well, because you do offer Skype sessions
Right.
for
Yes, I do.
regression as well. And again,
Yes.
you do much more than that. Fascinating to see that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So with White Dove, there's different umbrellas of White Dove as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, there are. We started out as just, we actually started out, we are a non-denominational church. That's how we got our nonprofit, is as a church. But we recognize that true healing comes when the mind, body, and the soul are healed. And you cannot have healing without having the spiritual aspect of it. And so that's why it was important to have the church. So we started out teaching classes, and the classes were mostly sacred teachings, metaphysics, self-improvement, along those lines. We expanded, we've gone into creativity and well-being and health and healing and nutrition and all that. We, right now, under the umbrella of White Dove Learning Center, we offer over 185 different classes in these areas.
Because some of these are online as well.
No, they're not really online. They can take the classes online via Skype.
Right.
But I don't have the traditional online where you have a video and watch it, because to me, for me, this is my way of thinking, I want that personal aspect. I want somebody to be able to ask a question when they're in that moment and that question is there and we can address it at that time. And when I do a class, every class is completely different because it's channeled. Every class is completely channeled. What flows through me is exactly what each person in that class needs. So it will be different from one time to the next.
So you channel most of your material, you think?
As such, it's a form of channeling. It's not like what most people do, like Eric or what Elliot does, but it's just a knowing that comes through me. And by the end of the class, I don't even know what we've taught.
And when you mention Elliot or
Elliot.
Eric, these are two channelers that you've been working with. One, Elliot, Eric, I've interviewed just yesterday, and Elliot Jackson, we've interviewed
Yes.
for the documentary. He channels Source as well. And you two have got quite a tight relationship as well.
We started working together 6 years ago. I'd gone to one workshop with Elliot, and there were things that came out there that nobody would have ever known. And then I wound up getting a private session the next day, and again, something that happened to me that I'd never told anybody came up, and Source said, "Do you remember when you did this?" That's when I knew he was a true channel.
Now, for someone that's seen over 50, and there'll be many more, I'll be going into 60 at some point, right? Doesn't make me special at all, right? just doing it for the documentary and the ongoing docu-series. But for someone that's met that many in person, there are many channels for many different people. This Elliot Jackson is just someone that works for you, and it seems to work for the clients coming through, but there are other choices.
He doesn't necessarily work for us. We have him in as a guest. So when we have our Taste of Healing, Eric and Beverly and Eric Watros, Beverly McCaw, and quite a few of our other practitioners, we have our local practitioners plus all those that are associated with us that come in, and we all get together. It's like family. We all get together and it's a wonderful time. We all enjoy it. And the healing that's done is phenomenal. Lots of tears, lots of shedding. It's wonderful.
Absolutely. My point is, as someone that's seen many, and I'd say this in the face of anyone, right? Is that there are different
channels for different people. Right.
And actually, I've come to the conclusion pretty fast that we can all bring through our own truth.
Yes, we can.
You know, I think a psychic or a channeler or a regressionist, you know, can help you so far, but we get into addiction sometimes where it's just, you know, we get in a bit mixed up with theirs is the only truth, and actually yours is the only truth for you. Your truth that's coming through you should be your only truth.
That's right.
But sometimes we need that, though. There's been times when I've need to go see a psychic, or you know, I've been here at the center, and Elliot Jackson, who's channeling source in front of me, is telling me something that I needed to hear at that time.
Exactly.
I couldn't say one's better than the other. So far, I haven't come through or met too many bad channelers, and I wouldn't ever say bad. I couldn't. It's not that. It's someone channeling more. It just seems to be a bit more negative, but very few and far between. Two, if I was to name.
Right, but there are some, because I've been to a festival down in Cincinnati, and I had palm reading done, and I went to the class. I went to the palmist, and he was, he was supposed to be good. He's been there every year. He's still there every year. He did my palm reading, and a friend of mine, and we walked away from there. We said, that's not even right. So we went back to complain and say, you know, none of this was even close. And his response to me was, you know, everybody that comes to these things, they believe anything you want. I lost my job as an engineer, and I decided I was going to find something in order to make money. So he read a book, and then he started up with the show. He's still there to this day, still doing palm readings, and he still has his belief that anybody believe anything. I can tell you anything, and they'll believe it.
We've got to use discernment.
Right, we have to
We've
lose
got a brain
discernment.
for that.
Right, and that's why for me, when I met Elliot, I knew for me what Source was coming through was truth. Whereas when I had the palm reading, it didn't feel right. It wasn't truth.
Absolutely. There are cowboy builders, there are cowboy electricians, there's cowboys in any goddamn field, right?
That's right.
And there definitely is in this field. But the channelers that I've met, I must say that most of them are pretty bloody good for the person that it resonates with. And maybe that person that you got that palm reading from, what if that's a perfect example of someone that you needed to hear that? Because for whatever reason, that's what you needed to hear. Absolute rubbish.
To help me with discernment.
Exactly. If it wasn't for them, who's going to show you discernment? Would believe anything.
That's right.
Gets a bit religious-y then. Well, moving this forward into healing then, because that's what we're really talking about here. We all can heal ourselves.
The body was designed to be self-healing.
The body was designed to be self-healing. But there are those that are addicted to not wanting to heal, or going through a healing process and just not really making much room with it. It didn't seem to be from the outside.
Right. The only one who heals is the person, him or herself, when he or she is ready. No one else can or will be able to do it for them. When they are ready, they allow what they want to accept in, where they're ready to go. Some people won't. If you think of elderly people, and I know a lot of people like this, all they ever do is go to their doctors. They've lost who they are. They retired, they don't have anything to do, they don't have a purpose. So they create these diseases within them, and that way they go to the doctor, one to the next, to the next, to the next, and they always go out to eat afterwards. It becomes a social event. And they're always talking about it, either what their experiences are, what their aches and pains, or what pills they're taking. They wouldn't know who they are without it. So they are not going to be ones who are going to really ready to let it go, because they still need it. As long as you need something, you will have it. There are others, think of the hypochondriacs, that mentally create these diseases because it's a way to get attention. The drama queens will do the same thing. They create all this drama in their life, whether it be through illness or anything else, because it's a way to get attention. And for me, when this type of people come in, we have to be able to recognize, is this what they're doing? And if it is, we've got to help them see that that's what they're doing to help them shift and change. If they're ready, we can help them. If they're not ready, they leave and we don't see them until they are ready. And we've had people like that where they've come and then we don't see them for a few years and then they come back. We just had one lady, and she's here today, who she had come to me several years ago and came and it was okay. And then she started having seizures. She was having anywhere from 10 to 20 plus seizures a day, every day for over 2 years. And she's gone to all the specialists and specialist hospitals in Columbus and Dayton. They had operated on her. She had 6 brain surgeries trying to figure out what was wrong. So she came, her boyfriend posted online, said, I don't know what to do. She's dying right in front of my face, and I don't know what to do. Nobody's helping her. So I texted him and I said, that there is another way. Do you remember? And he went, oh yes, that's right. So he told her, he wound up bringing her out. She brought out and she said, well, I'm going to finish the medical way first, the traditional medicine, and if that doesn't work, I'll be back. Okay, that was last December. She came back, I think the following January, when she was finally diagnosed with it was all emotional trauma that was causing the seizures. And she sent me a text and said, I know the only one that can heal me now is white dove. So she came out. We spent 3 hours just sitting back, talking, looking, telling me her life story, what was happening. And what I realized then, because I do crystal surgery, because of fight or flight syndrome, that is truly real. The spirit can leave the body. And when it does, sometimes it doesn't know how to get back in. And that's what was happening with her. Her spirit, because of so much trauma in her life from the time she was little through the present, was every time something was happening or something a little bit, it would trigger something in her and her spirit couldn't take it until pretty much it was out of the body all the time. If you think of like a hand in a glove, the spirit's supposed to be connected with the physical body. But when they get out like that, it's like pulling your wagon around. So the spirit is literally leading the body around, so that even their emotions and everything else are a little bit slower than it would have been otherwise because of that small gap in there where it's pulling it around. So after the end of that, we went and I put her on the table and I put her spirit back into her body and tethered it down. Restless leg syndrome is the same thing. It's a spirit whose legs are out. Once we put them back in, no need again. They never have to take drugs or anything like that. So I put her back in and she went a couple weeks without having one. Then I think she had 2 or 3 that day. But then we talked about, okay, what was the trigger? So that's what we know we need to work with. That's the next step in your healing, is working with releasing that. And she's doing very well now. She has very little, if any. And she's growing beyond that and healing even more than she had been.
So you must have seen a sort of complete change in the kind of people coming to see you as well over the years.
Yes.
What's some of the differences nowadays with people's problems, do you think, that when they come to see you?
I think right now people are more desperate. They don't know where to go. They don't know what to do. They've tried everything with traditional medicine. Traditional medicine is only pushing drugs. Somebody's making a profit on it. There's no natural way of healing. They don't even teach nutrition. They don't teach anything about proper well-being. They don't teach anything. All most doctors do these days is push drugs. Now, the pharmaceutical drugs are man-made. They are not natural, so they do not get past that blood-brain barrier to get into the part of the brain that really does the true healing. If you're still taking a pill, you have not healed. They've only masked the symptoms. When you use essential oils or energy, you are actually getting past that blood-brain barrier and into the part of the brain that does the true healing. We used to do that many years ago. We don't do that anymore because everybody's bought into this system. The pharmaceutical companies have done a great job in promoting that they are the only way to heal, and they push down anything that's natural. They make it almost like, no, that doesn't work, and it does. It works by far better, but they also get kickbacks.
Of course.
on every drug that they prescribe. So, for instance, my father was taking 30 pills a day and insulin. They don't work together. If you think of paint, mixing paint, you take one base paint and you add all the different pigments and you mix it up and you have a whole new color. When you take your body, your base paint is your circulatory system, and every pill that you put into it, by the time it mixes in the blood, it is no longer what you thought it was going to do. They do not work individually. They work together. Thus we have side effects and things that don't work. Whereas when you're taking the essential oils or something with energy or herbs or something that's natural, they each know what to do and how to do it, and they can work individually.
But isn't it a balance that, if we need some kind of medication,
Yes.
the body needs that?
We are not ready to go away from traditional medicine yet. There's a reason and purpose for everything. We just don't need it as much as we think we do.
So like the overuse of antibiotics
Yes.
as well, that's one.
Probiotics is another
Probiotics
one.
as well, yeah.
Yeah, because it's all about greed. It's a way to sell more. And we have to use our discernment again. And you can also muscle test with your body. Marcella Zerker here does a Touch for Health, and that's teaching people to work with muscle testing with your body to find out, do you really need it? So somebody can come in and say, well, this works really great, and everybody should have this, so, just like with probiotics. So everybody starts taking it, but they don't realize if you depend on the probiotic every day, you're telling your body, you don't have to do this. I have this covered for you. Your body starts working. It doesn't know how to start up again. You become immune to the probiotics, and what are you going to do? Your body's not working anymore and doesn't know how to.
So you must have learned a lot on your journey becoming a healer then.
I did. I've had wonderful, wonderful guides that have taught me, and they've sent wonderful people to me for me to learn through the past life work, through all of the work that I've done. And I've done this probably 15 years. I love doing what I do. I've learned so much from my clients about life, about healing, about living. And it's always something unique and different. When I first started, my guides would send me, let's say, 3 of the same thing, the same symptoms, so that I could see that there are many different contributors to that disease and many different ways to heal, working with that, to help heal, work with that disease.
So we can only kind of help, or hope, should I say the right word, that the medical industry in America and worldwide really, one day does change to encompass the spiritual side as well, or at least the kind of practices that you're using as well to embrace them. But when they're teaching them as doctors, or to become doctors, it's very much mental information, isn't it?
Right.
They're not really asking the patient too many questions, are they? Sometimes
No doctor, very few doctors ever ask, what's going on in your life? Because all illness, if it's brain related, it's from the mental body. It's a wrong way of thinking. Everything else is emotional. And an emotion is what causes every disease within us. We have 18 to 24 hours to release an emotion. Doctors will admit that stress is an emotion, and they don't say it's an emotion, but they say all the disease is caused by stress. Well, stress is an emotion, and everyone is different. So if you have something in your arms is what you get your arms. So somebody with something with their arms is having trouble getting their arms around something. The legs move you forward in life. Any joint is a decision maker.
The eyes?
The eyes have to do with what you don't want to see. And that's an interesting story, because when I was younger, I came into life with not much eyesight. And over time, through the traumas in my lifetime, I lost even more. And I was to the point where I could not see the eye chart on the wall at all. And the doctor, the way he would test me was, how many fingers do I have up? That was my eye test. I was that blind. And I decided that I wanted to work with healing my eyes. I didn't want to have to wear these. In second grade, I had, the Coke bottle thick glasses and bifocals and all. And I wanted to get away from that. Yes, I had contacts, but I didn't want to have to depend on them. At night, I couldn't see anything. Even to go to the bathroom, I had to feel my way around. And before I'd go to bed, I'd have to make sure that the pathway was clear so I didn't trip over anything. So I started working, and I used EFT and TAT, with emotional freedom technique, and TAPAS, acupressure technique, to help me look at myself. I had friends of mine that were practitioners, Mary Benson Landau, a wonderful practitioner, and she also helped me look at what's going on, because there's so many things. If you think of a cup, you know, every time you have a trauma or something going on, you put it in the cup, you put it in the cup. When you have that cup and it finally spills over because you have so much, it goes on the table. Well, the table is your physical body, the cup is your spirit body. So that's the overflow when it shows up in the physical. The doctors go in and they clean up the physical, but nobody ever empties the cup.
What about metaphysical issues as well, about past life issues affecting us?
Yes, metaphysical past lives. Oftentimes I had this one young girl who all of a sudden at the age of like 21 or 22 had this burning in her feet so bad that nobody could touch it. She was on morphine, going to Cleveland Clinic to try to figure out what's going on. You couldn't put a towel or a sheet over her without extreme pain. And so she lived probably about 2 hours away from me. And I was asked to help her, so I talked to her, we talked over the phone, and then I started doing the work. I have this wonderful gift of soul connecting, where I can connect with someone's soul and let out whatever it is that they need to release emotionally. But I also, at the same time, I can ask questions to find out what's going on. And what I had gotten was that she had been burnt to death in a past life with coals. They were burning her feet, and that's where the pain was coming from. In time, we learned that she was, what do they call that? Those that were there to protect Mary and the child, the children. There's a book written on it. There was a movie, The Da Vinci Code. What do they call those people that were protectors? I can't remember.
Oh God, they do have a name. It will come to us. Yeah, it was in the movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, she was one of them. Her job was to protect the privacy that Mary had to go into hiding, and they were living in caves, she and the daughter and son, Judah and Sarah, because they were afraid that if they did that to Yeshua, what would they do if they found the rest of the family? And so they had gone off in hiding. Knights Templar. So she was a Knights Templar, and they had caught her because they knew, or he in that lifetime, that he would know where to find Mary and the children. And she endured all this torture to make sure that she did not tell them. She was not going to give it away. So in this lifetime, that's where that pain was coming from. Something triggered it in this lifetime that was emotion that was similar to that lifetime, and it brought all of that in. It reawoken all those latent memories. So the pain became physical. And so until we did the soul connecting to release that, and then I did some crystal surgery to release that, it was going to be there.
Incredible.
And when I did finally see her, I went to see her, and they showed me not only that she had gotten into staph. Staph infection is really STAFF, the infectious thoughts of the staph. That's why you find it in a hospital. In most places you don't. It is the negativity of the staph that causes that. It gets into their energy field, and it's not theirs. They don't know what it is. They don't know how to handle it. They don't know how to release it because it's not theirs. And that's why it's so hard to get rid of staph infection. So that's where energy work would really be good, or to clear that out.
And I hear that word getting talked about as well, attachments.
Mm-hmm. And attachments too, yes, you can have attachments to you. You can have cords attached to you. I want to tell you real quick before we got away from there. When I saw pictures of what her leg had looked like, you could see the hot coals where they were all, I mean, her legs were red, right with all these where the hot coals had touched her.
Because
and
that
they were all
lifetime's
cleared
happening
out.
now.
Yes.
All lifetimes are happening instantaneously.
Yes. It's like a book. The book is all there. Everything is there. What chapter you're in is the lifetime you're in. where you're focused. They're all there.
Incredible.
So as you read through the book, there's the past and there's what's coming, but where you're reading is the present.
Right, absolutely. And we can't explain some of this stuff, can we? We can't prove any of it neither.
No.
But it's there.
But it's there.
Do you think mainstream medicine is looking into some of this stuff?
I think they are starting to. My eye doctor, when I started working on myself and trying to heal my eyes, I have reversed my eyes at that point to halfway back to perfect vision. And I did all by myself. My eye doctor started getting very scared because he was seeing this, and one day he finally said to me, this shouldn't happen, I shouldn't do this. And I said, why not? They got worse, why can't they get better? And he said, because they're not supposed to. And then he said, you know, you're going to have doctors mad at you. And I said, why? And he said, because you're going to take business away from them, they're going to be mad at you. And I said, well, isn't it about healing? Isn't that what the doctors are supposed to be there for? And he just didn't want to hear it. He said, I'm retiring soon, I don't care, but you're going to have many doctors that are mad at you because you're going to be taking business away from them. True story.
Hopefully not the attitude of every doctor, but yeah,
I
some
hope
of them.
not, but some of them are there.
Most definitely,
Some of
and
them
it's
are
good to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago, maybe much more, and probably we don't have the records of them, but it's potentially possible that we lived a long time. Mm-hmm. Not just 80, 90, 100 years, but much longer.
Much longer. The Earth is millions of years old. So for us to think that there has not been life before us is pretty arrogant.
But I can't imagine how people would self-heal from an abscess or something like that. You know, when you've got those real nasty pains and you just want to get to the doctor and you rely on medication nowadays, modern medication.
But all pain is emotional, 100%. I had a ruptured appendix and it went 3 days and I never knew it. I had discomfort, but I did not have pain.
And how do you tie that to all pain is emotional? Why didn't you have any pain?
Because there was no emotion. I had been already working on myself. The appendix has to do with extreme fear. When it happened, I was getting ready to step out. Now, I'd written my book already, and I had done some book signings, but I had friends that were with me there to support me. This was going to be the first time I was going to be speaking in public by myself. In past lives, I have been tortured, I have been burnt at the stake, I've been cut in half, I've been hung, I've been forcibly drowned many different ways because of the work that I'm doing. And I did it back then, I'm doing it again now. So for me, especially the last one that I had was really horrific. And I've been told that on an emotional level, it's like having a spiritual breakdown, like somebody would have a nervous breakdown. They never thought they could get the soul back together because it was that badly damaged. And so this lifetime for me has been a huge lifetime of healing all those past lives to get me back to where I need to be.
So as a healer, you would say, you know, if you really want to heal yourself, you have to heal the past as well.
To heal the present. Mm-hmm.
But is there other future lives happening now as well?
Yes,
or
they are.
Potentials?
But the past and the present affect the future. So when you heal the past, you heal the present and the future.
Could the future affect the present?
Most likely. Most likely.
But we're concentrated here.
We're
in
focused
our
on this lifetime.
But it could be possible that the future could also affect the past and present.
I think so, but I think the past has more of an effect on us than the future. It is possible.
In our understanding right now.
In our understanding right now, right.
Right. That sounds horrible,
That's
the
correct.
ways that you were killed.
They've been
why
horrible.
do we put ourselves through that? We know if we're a spirit having a human experience, why do we need to be tortured to death?
Well, it wasn't us. It was what we were bringing in that man didn't want to hear. And we knew that before we came in. But once you get in here, it's a whole different ballgame.
It's almost like saying, isn't it, that we really don't choose our lives. There's potentials of what could happen, but you know, we do create our reality, don't we? That's what Seth always said,
Yes,
and I think it's true what Seth said.
That is true, very true. But when you come into life before then, you have an outline of what you'd like to achieve, how much karma that you would like to release, what you'd like to experience, what dharma you would like to create. You have an outline.
Whose truth is that?
Mine.
I spoke to Adamus, an entity coming through Jeffrey Hoppe, and Adamus made it very clear to me there is absolutely no karma. That's his truth.
Well, karma, that's his truth, right. For me, the karma is the balancing of an experience. It doesn't mean you did this, so this is going to happen. For instance, the classic example I use is, okay, if you've been rich in one lifetime, you're going to be poor in another lifetime. What you do with that will affect the difference and how you experience that. So if you've had a lot of money, you hoarded it for yourself, you didn't use it to help anybody, you're not going to get a whole lot of help when you're on that other side experiencing being poor. But if you've had a lot of money and you've shared it with people and you've given much help, when you are poor, you will get much help and you don't have to be there very long. This is my experience from what I've seen in past lives. Through my past life work, this is my belief based on what I've seen in past lives on how that balancing always takes place. It is the balancing of the experience.
I'm sure Adamus also said to me there is no purpose to any of it, just to have experience, that's all.
That's right. It's all about the experience.
See, we can agree on some things, not me and you, but just in general, just when you've heard 50-something plus truths, you know,
but
and I'm glad of it, do you know
yeah.
that? I'm glad of it, because it's what it's shown me on this journey, and I'll do this in presentations in the future on stages. Don't be addicted to any set truth.
No. Now, my guides have shown me what we do. If you think of the triangle, it's very powerful, the triangle. And on the bottom, you have the two angles, and there's a line in between, which represents balance. So in one lifetime, you may have been a perpetrator, in another lifetime, you may have been the victim, because what we give out, we will get back. It's been noted all through time. And that, to me, is what karma is about. You know, what you give out, you will get back. That's why you want to do everything positive, so you get positive things back.
Just in this moment right now, I'm even thinking beyond this. I'm like, well, what if none of that, what if the whole past life regression stuff was true up to a point, but wasn't actually what we thought it was? That actually, we've not lived those lives. They're just being shown to us as though we have, so that we can get on and experience the things that we want to experience. But actually, there's something much bigger beyond that. And I know sometimes you could say, well, the simpler the truth, the more it maybe is true, right?
The only thing for me, though, is when you have a past life regression and you have somebody sobbing, they wouldn't have that emotion if they hadn't been there.
But I'm always one to say, well, okay, but what if? What if that emotion just comes from thinking that's a holographic experience that's true, but actually it's not true? None of it's true. It's just to get you to a certain point.
Well, any dream isn't true either, is it?
Exactly.
Right.
Who's to say this isn't a dream of some sort?
It is, in a way. It's
or a
an
life
illusion.
review. Or a
It
life
is.
review.
It's all an illusion, isn't
See
it?
what I mean? We get so trapped into saying this is this, this is that. And none of this really matters in this conversation in one sense, because, well, who cares? Because we can't prove it anyway. But I think we are getting to a point in our evolution, even to have this conversation, to say, actually, let's not get so addicted here to what we think's right or wrong. What if there's something more?
And there always is more, because the more you learn there is to learn. But you also have to remember life is a process. That's why we have schools. Think of the school. If you go through, you can't go from second grade to fourth grade, because you're going to miss what you could have learned in third grade.
Unless you just re-remembering it.
One builds on another.
Unless you just re-remembering it. You think that is linear like that, but actually just re-remembering what you already know. And it's nice to think of it like linear.
And that's true. But we're here for a reason. And we still have to do our work. Otherwise, Source wouldn't be making us do our work. We still have to balance the experience.
We may be Source.
And we are
ourselves.
Source. We are Source. And
And
Source tells us when we get the information, you're talking to yourself.
Many channelers, in the end, when I've been speaking to them, I'm like, who am I actually, I've been like, hang on, who am I actually speaking to here? And they say, it's your higher self speaking to you through you.
That's
through
right.
us.
That's right.
It makes no sense, because then the next minute they're switching back into the character role.
But think about even in life, you know, we're at whatever we do at that time, we're working out of the information that we were known and given at that time.
Until
and that's
something
my
greater
point.
comes.
Right, that's my point. But one builds on another to get us ready for it. A third grader could never understand, if they're learning the basics of math, they would never understand algebra, geometry, trigonometry, calculus. They can't do that until they have the basics, and that's why when we're learning, one builds on the next.
Makes
One
logical
experience.
sense to me. there's always that part of my mind that's like, well, what if that's not the case? It's all right.
But we'll never know until we go home.
Maybe we're home already.
No, I don't think we're quite there yet. We are and we aren't. We're there, yes, but we're not there. We're here, we're there, we're everywhere.
We're everywhere.
That's
We're
right.
omnipresent.
That's right. But where you are focused is where you are.
That's right. And we seem to be very focused here right now.
Right.
Stuck here maybe as well. God damn it, right? Where does that fit into all that we've spoken about the spiritual body? What is the spiritual body?
The spirit body, you actually have 7 bodies. One is physical, the rest are all in spirit. You have an mental body, an emotional body, you have an etheric body. Your etheric body is called the body double oftentimes. It's that, I like to say, it's the hand in the glove. So if you have blood on the glove, if you look at it like a doctor, the glove representing your physical body, a traditional doctor will look and go, oh, we need to wipe that up, and they fix it, but they don't really take care of it. Where did it come from? That blood didn't come from the physical body, really. It came from the spirit body. So for me, blood represents the joy of life. For me, to help that person heal, we have to help them find joy of life again. And in order to do that, we have to find out what's taking their joy of life away. When we do that, then we have to help them look at life from a different perspective. When you take yourself out of the equation and you stop being the victim and you look at the higher reason, what lessons you're learning, was it really what your perception of truth may not have been truth? When you look at the blessing, the gift of what you were learning in that moment, then that helps that person to shift, and that's when the true healing starts to come in.
Yeah.
They're not stuck anymore.
They're not stuck anymore, absolutely. And just one question I really wanted to ask you as well was, you see a lot of these younger people kind of coming into the work now. I met one yesterday, Eric, 22 years old, and met other younger people on this journey as well that are coming into their own healing modalities and what, whatever that may be, channeling or Reiki or more. How does that feel for you, that to see some of these people that have kind of grown really quickly, actually?
I think it's wonderful because they're more open. Most of us that are older, and not all of us, but many of us, because you see a lot of people that are older doing this work too. But if you look around, most of the older people aren't doing this work because they have a closed mind. They've been taught, you have to do this, you have to believe that. Religion is a great one for that. Modern medicine, same thing, because they tell you you have to take this pill, you have to do this, but they're not teaching you other alternatives. Nobody's taught you, it's all, we want you, there's no profits and, without patience, and all along those lines. There's so much more, and I think it's wonderful that they're here and they're keeping an open mind, and they're also saying, no, this doesn't feel right, and they're not afraid to say it. Yeah. And they're not afraid to be who they are. Most of us who are older are afraid of, what if somebody doesn't like it? They're afraid of stepping out. They're afraid of saying things for fear that they're going to be ridiculed or judged.
Or judged, yeah. I think in this healing process, we can be the hardest on ourselves as well, in some respects. What about when we don't listen to our body?
We need to listen to our body. If you don't, what you resist persists. You're going to only get more of it. Great example, cancer. Cancer is a big thing that most people, that it's out there right now. You've also got, if you look at, it's over $6 billion a year are raised in the United States for cancer research, but actually less than 0.5% actually goes towards research. The rest of it goes towards your billboards, building medical centers, paying doctors, all that. But very little of it even goes back to help the patient. Very little. They don't have the understanding. There are natural ways to cure cancer, but they don't want you to know that because they want to do the what do we call it? The cut, scrape, and burn method. Because that way you're in there, you're coming back and back. More people die from the cut, burn, and scrape method, chemo and radiation, than they ever do from the disease. And that's truth, that's proven. Doctors don't want you to know that. There are ways to heal. I've helped people. One man had 3 kinds of cancer overnight, disappeared overnight. I've helped others. We've gone through, we've helped them release the cancer, never did the chemo and the radiation. It's by looking at what is it. All cancer is repressed anger. And so when you say, well, that person, she's the sweetest person, there's no way. Yes, she's internalizing it. She's not speaking it, and that's where cancer is. It can also be what the medical establishment is doing it by putting all these signs up. I often wonder why in a town where there's only one hospital, why they have to advertise. They either have too much money or else they're subliminally trying to get the message to you of being sick. Focusing on that, because subliminal is very important, and they use it in advertising. They use fear in advertising in order to try to get you to buy their product. They know what they're doing. So if they're putting all these signs up everywhere and these big establishments for cancer treatment and all, then subliminally can people be picking up on it?
I wouldn't want to think like that.
But it does happen. It does happen.
Okay, well,
It can happen if the person is open. Does it happen all the time? No. But if you have somebody who's on that brink, it can push them right into that. We create, remember? We
do.
Create, and we create our dis-ease and draw it to us based on what we need at that time.
Then if someone's watching this right now and they're like, well, where's the healing techniques? Where's, if I can't make it to Pat, where is my healing techniques that I could use in the moment now?
There's many out there. That's why the emotional freedom technique, EFT, the Tapas acupressure technique, TAT, they're wonderful things you can do yourself. There's the head trauma release, which is really good. It's something we teach here. There's many different ways, and what we try to do with people here at White Dove is self-empowerment. We try to teach people tools that they can use themselves for their own healing. But sometimes you need that Calgon take me away moment where we can't. For instance, a surgeon cannot operate on himself. So if it's something really deep and we're stuck and we don't want to go back and we don't want to look at it, then we go and we get help and ask for somebody to help us. But you can heal yourself.
Good point, actually. People that are, well, you mentioned surgeon there, but I'm just going to go back to the metaphysical. People that are channelers or healers or whatever they are, you obviously get them coming to you for help as well.
Yes.
As much as the amazing information they bring through, a lot of them, or a good portion of them that I've come across, don't live their teachings.
No, they don't. But that's what we try to do here at White Dove. And that's what makes our center different from all others. That's why we're successful here. And over time, I've watched them come up and they're gone within a year or two. Because if you're working from the right space, it will continue to go on. If you are working for money and you have a poverty consciousness going on within you, it's going to fizzle out. But if you're working to be in service, to help people, and you're working out of that space of the heart, that is love, love grows.
Yes, it does.
And that's one thing we do here. We help people look at themselves, give them the tools to help them in life every day, but it's surrounded by love. You can ask anybody who's a part of our community. They're not afraid to express themselves. They come here because they know they're loved. We help them through. There is absolutely no judgment. There is just pure, unconditional love. And when you walk in the door, you can feel that energy.
And I have felt it. I've just maybe been a bit more stressed out this weekend, just trying to get a few things done, interviews and stuff. But, it makes me think, though, we've talked about, what some of the body parts and just the diseases that they represent, but what about spiritual diseases?
Yes, there are some diseases that no one will ever find a cure for. SIDS is a great one for that. They will never ever find a cure for SIDS because they do not realize, most modern medicine does not realize, that it's the spirit's choice when they come and when they leave. Many people out there think it's God deciding you go in now and you leave now, and that God is a great puppet master, Source. Source is not a puppet master. We decide when we come in, when we leave. Even abortion, that person who has the abortion is just listening to the soul on the other side as to what they want. if that person that comes in with SIDS does not feel loved and wanted and needed, they have up to 2 years to change their mind, hence the soft spot on the top of the head. Once that's closed off, they have to live life. Up until then, they can change their mind. That's what SIDS is. Blue is a color of spirit. And what do we do with baby boys? We color their room in blue. We put them in blue clothes. We use blue sheets. Blue is the absolute worst color you want to do, because that way it is a reminder to them of spirit side. They get homesick and go home. No matter how much love we send them here, it is not the unconditional love that they feel here, because we here on earth have a conditional love. I'll love you as long as you don't hurt me. I'll love you as long as I know you. It's very conditional.
Yeah.
But when you go home, it's pure unconditional love. And that blue is a reminder of home. So they get homesick and go home.
We've covered a few things here, and I'm really appreciative of your time as well. One thing I just want to say is you've got your book here, Self-Empowerment, The Only Way to Heal. You Have the Power. Great title. That's available on Amazon as well?
On Amazon, yes, or through us here.
And you've also got your new book that's going to be coming out soon as well.
It's called Everyday Life Lessons, How to Live Life with Ease and Grace. Because the earth is a school, we are here, we are learning lessons. But if you don't stop and recognize what the lesson is, you're never going to move through it. And what you don't learn, you will get another opportunity. So it will keep coming back. So when something keeps happening over and over again, you have to stop and say, what do I need to learn from this? Instead of being the victim.
And I'm sure, thank you for that, I'm sure we mentioned yesterday when we were talking away about this interview that there potentially could be another book in the future.
About my past life experiences, because I've had so many wonderful ones. So many wonderful. And in healing in general.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the regression work, that's just such an easy way in for a lot of people, because it comes from them.
Right. There are so many things, like women who can't get pregnant. What I have found through the past life work is 9 times out of 10, they've lost a child in the past life that they had nothing to do with, no control over whatsoever, and yet they're still blaming themselves. Oh, that's easy for us to do. Oh, I should have been there. I should have done this. When we go back and we do that work and we see that and we recognize there was nothing they could have done, and they can let that go. It's that acceptance. They can let it go. It happened. And when they do that, usually everyone I've worked with within a week has been pregnant. The longest was a month. That was it. And we don't need the in vitro fertilization and all that. We just need to heal the past.
There's so many things that can be used for, isn't there, as well? I mean, God, there's so many things.
So many. It's wonderful, absolutely. I had one lady who, this wonderful one, she had placenta previa, where the placenta is up the front when it's not where it should be. And they told her at the time, and I talk about this in my book, that either she was going to die or the baby was going to die, that one or the other would be lost. If she died, it would be either because the organs developed these tentacles and the tentacles would wrap around the organs and suffocate them and kill her, or she would bleed to death. And if the baby died, it was because it wasn't getting the nourishment it needed. And I said, no, you can't look at that way. That's not true. Medicine is telling you based on what they told people, but that's all based on fear too, because remember, blood has to do with the joy of life. So if you're going to bleed to death, your joy of life is leaving. And so if you tell somebody these things, this could happen, oh my gosh, it's there. It's going to happen. You draw it to you. And that's where the bleeding comes from. She went all the way through. We did healing once a month. She never once bled. She wound up delivering a baby. They did do C-section because that's what they thought they had to do, but they thought she was going to have blood transfusions and everything else. In her place, the typical, what the baby would have been, if it was born, 2.5 or 3 pounds. Her baby was over 9 pounds. And her doctor was so amazed, he couldn't believe it, because, oh my gosh, over a 9-pound baby, and she was never bedbound like they told her she would be, all that he wrote it up and set it into the AMA because he couldn't understand it.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. Now, if people want to find out more information about yourself, your website is?
It's whitedovecircle.org or whitedovecircle.com. One will lead to the other.
And you're also looking at expanding the White Dove
yes.
to other states one day.
Yes, one day down the road we are going to have outreach centers all across North and South America, but we'll still have our main one here. Where the facility we're at right now, hopefully within the next year, we're going to grow to the other half of this building, which is about as big as this is. We've got about 3,000 square feet here, where we can have even more rooms for practitioners to have privacy. But this is not the beginning. I've already seen the end, and it's going to be fabulous and beautiful.
So if there's anyone watching this that wants to help you make this dream a reality, you're always looking for people to connect with you?
As long as they're working from the space of the heart, because nobody works here. They can come, but the energy is such that they won't last.
Right, yeah.
As a practitioner.
Well, on that note as well, what would you say is the most important message of your work?
The body was designed to be self-healing. We are all in a state of moving from the third dimension into the fifth dimension. A dimension is a state of being. The example my guides gave me is the third dimension is like you fall into a mud puddle and you come out and you're full of mud. The fifth dimension is where you're all cleaned up, looking nice and shiny and sparkly and new again. You cannot get from the third to the fifth without going through the fourth, and the fourth is the cleanup, the healing. So we all need to do this healing work. There's so many. At any given time, you are the sum total of all your past lives, but you carry all those memories and everything with you in that energy field, and those memories are what need cleaned up, that need healing. Healing is ongoing. We always need that healing because our goal is to get to that point of pure unconditional love, and you cannot get there without the healing.
Well, Pat Zimmerman, thank you so much for joining us, and it's great to be here in your lovely centre, and you very much made us feel at home, and thank you for all the free food as well. That's always great, and the coffee. Thank you and much love.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and good luck to you and everything you do too. Whenever you're ready, you can come back. The thing I love about the toning is if you think of glass, and when you get a really high pitch, how it breaks the glass, that's what the toning does. It's very high vibrational, and when it gets up really, really high, so in the beginning it starts clearing all the energies and working to blend them, and by the time it gets up really high, it breaks up energy blocks. So by the time we're through, you're in a whole different space, and that's what's kind of neat about it. I love doing the toning. I love doing my soul connecting, which is another phenomenal thing that I love to do. But the funny thing about the toning is when I first started doing this years ago, and I really wanted to do it, and I would try, and it was not channeled back then. And I remember my dear friend, he was on the table, and he was in his 70s, and one day, I was, practicing and trying, and one day he puts his hand on me, and he goes, "Pat, it sounds like you're hurting yourself." And I thought, oh dear, maybe I shouldn't do this anymore. And then I wound up going down to Cincinnati, and we were doing shamanic journeying that night. My friend Stephanie, she and I were partners with each other, and we were supposed to take each other's essence and bring it with us to go down and do healing for that person. And so we were in the journey, and we got out, and we both did our stuff. And when we got out, Stephanie was so excited because she got to participate in there. They gave me golden vocal cords. And that's what I had gotten. That's why I truly believe in shamanic journeying. That's why I teach that class. I think it's phenomenal. Everyone can do it if you allow yourself. But from that point on, I've been able to channel the toning and bringing that in. But that's what the part I love about that, you know. So there's many, many different types of healing. And the most important thing is taking that time to go within. So with me, shamanic journeying is a way to go within, to find information, to get healing, to get answers. We can also do past life regression. To me, past life regression is so important. You don't need to know about all your past lives, but if there's something going on in your life that's a stumbling block, what I've learned is 9 times out of 10, it's from a past life. And if you don't heal the past, you'll never heal the present. For me, past life regression is important. 9 times out of 10, whatever's going on in your life, the root is in a past life. But we only think about this lifetime, so we go back and we try to think of things in this lifetime, but you're never going to find it because it's in the past. If you don't go back to the root, it's like a weed. And if you think of the weed, the part that you see on top is this life. The part that you see down here is your past lives. And it can have many roots. But if we don't go back to the root, think of a weed. If you try to cut it off, what does it do? It comes back thicker and stronger. If you try to pull it out and you don't get the root, it comes back thicker and stronger. You have to get to the root. If you don't, it's going to be back. If you get to the root, you pull it all the way out and it never comes back again. And that's why for me, I love doing the past life regression, because there is so much healing done in the past. I know many people, vows that have been taken. I've been doing this work 14 years. Over 14 years I've been doing the past life work. Probably about 3 or 4 years ago, I wound up, it was when Dolores Cannon was her right before she crossed. I kept getting told, you know, you need to go, you need to go. And I thought, oh gosh, I'm going to tell Chuck we have to go to Arkansas. He's going to have a hissy fit. So I just told him, I said, I'm going to Arkansas. If you want to come with me, you can. And he did. I was really surprised. So we wound up going out there, and I was very grateful for the time because it gave me another way another tool to add to my past life regression work that I've already done. And combining the two, it's turned out to be a wonderful experience. When you go back to a past life, there are many people that'll do past life stuff, or they'll tell you, oh, you were so-and-so in a past life. Sometimes, if it's something that needs healing, you know, first off, if Source tells you, it's 100% truth. We all know that. But if it's somebody else and they just tell you this is who you were, especially if you're at a psychic fair, I wouldn't put much credibility in that. There's so much other energy buzzing around here, there, and everywhere. And how do you know that they're getting the truth? How do you know that they're getting you? But when you do this kind of work in past life regression, you know it's you because you cry. A lot of times you cry. There's oftentimes tears with it. And that's why it also needs to be personal. You don't want people around. You don't want to be a big show of it. If somebody goes back into a past life just for the fun of it, and that's why today we are setting the intention to only go back to a lifetime where something good happened. We're not going back to any lifetime that needs healing, because that's a whole different ball game, and it's something you really need one-on-one for. You cannot do it in a group well. If you go back and you're into a life that needs healing, something happened, what happens is you trigger all those emotions again. You just reconnected with all those latent emotions. And now they're in your energy field. And now all of a sudden you're going, what the heck? After that, my whole life's gone to hell in a handbasket quick. Why did that happen? Where is this going? And it's because you awakened those latent memories. The healing was not done. And that's why for me, it is very important in a past life regression. We have to cover all of the healing. We have to look at everything. So when I start with someone, many of you already know, because quite a few of you have already had one with me. But when I start out, we take a few hours because I have to get to know you. I have to know you personally. I have to know everything about you so that I can be the best facilitator, because I'm going to have your questions to ask, but also that way, if something comes up, I know what other questions to ask on your behalf. I know you well enough. I know which questions to ask. So also in the past life regression, when I do it, this is where I've kind of married in Dolores Cannon's. You can also ask questions. Did I know someone in my past life? If we haven't covered it, we go to 3 past lives. And then if after that, I ask your questions. You come in with a list of questions. So is there someone you wondered, did you have a past life with them? Usually we think of the people that we really like, but the ones you really should be asking about are the people you have trouble with, because you need to know where that one came from so you can better understand it, what's going on in that lifetime. So I ask you to bring both. We ask, do you have any questions, anything you would like to learn about yourself or whatever? And the third one is any healing that you want done. If you are ready to heal, phenomenal things happen. I worked with a lady in Chicago who had had 7 back surgeries and was going in for her 8th back surgery. And she did not want to go under the knife again. So we did the work, and that was a really cool session. And by the time we were through, she had come in, she was all hunched over and everything. By the time we were through, she was standing straight up, no pain in her back, and left, and never had surgery. The healing is instantaneous. And may I ask you to be an example? One of the things also in it, you may find out that you have more power than you ever realized. I once did a past life regression with Kay because her hands had atrophied like this. And so when I do my work, remember, healing, the only one who heals is the person, he or herself, when he or she is ready. No one else. Other than that, we are only the hollow bones. We are only the facilitator for it to come through. We do not do the healing. And anyone that thinks they do, you do not want to go to them. Okay? They are the ones, because they have to decide whether or not they want to accept it and how much of it. As long as you're getting something out of your illness, you will hang on to it. And people say, well, why would I do that? Well, there's karma, there's attention. Sometimes you don't know who you are anymore because you've talked about it so much. Think about the elderly. All they do is talk about their illnesses and what pills they're taking. And when they're going to the doctor, they wouldn't know who they are without it. You are not going to take that away from them. That's their social life. But when they're ready, this is a wonderful time. So when I go in under and I asked Kay's subconscious, Kay would like her hands straightened. And first we would like to know what is causing this. And they said she was hanging on to old belief systems she no longer needs. And they showed me a picture of her hanging onto the side of a building at the top, trying real hard to hang on and not fall down. Isn't that the shape of the hands? It's amazing how that works. And then so I said, okay, is she ready to release this? And they said no. Okay, now if she were ready to release it, we would have asked for the healing to take place. But since she wasn't, we won't go there. What does she need to do or say before she's ready to release this? I like to give the people homework so that they could better understand what they're working on at that time. That's the purpose of it. So then they gave us the information on what she needed to do. And I said, thank you very much. And then remember again the weed. There's a lot of stuff. If you think even one root coming down has a lot of offshoots, right? So we've collected a lot of stuff. Because at any point in your life, you are the sum total of all your past lives. So you have all this past life stuff that we've accumulated. If you do not release an emotion within 18 to 24 hours, you will store it in your body. And if you don't release it in that lifetime, it follows you from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime. So we have a lot of stuff that's not even important anymore that we've been hanging on to in our energy field. So that's when I asked, may we have a healing for her to release all the things that are no longer important to her, that she's still hanging on to, that are helping to keep her from moving forward on this. And they said yes. And her hands at that time went, and I thought, oh my God, she's not going to believe me. So I ran and I grabbed my phone and I videoed it. And she went for about 2 minutes like this. Now, if I would have tried to move her hands, it wouldn't have moved. If she would have tried, she couldn't have done it. But they're doing it. And it shows us the power that we have within us. You are the only one that's stopping you from moving forward and from doing anything in life. It doesn't matter what it is. So when we were through then, and she came out, her hands that were like this were now like this. It doesn't take much. I love doing this work because I love seeing the healing that takes place. Not only that, I know someone very close to me, and these two know who this person is, was a priest in a past life. And in this lifetime, he was a priest, I know, because he was with me in one, and that's how I know. And in this life, he struggled with relationships. He took a vow of celibacy. When you have that vow of celibacy and you take it seriously, it follows you from one lifetime to the next, to the next, to the next. He will never have a decent relationship that's going to work because unconsciously he is going to be blocking it, whether he realizes it or not. So he can self-sabotage, or he can draw somebody to him that's not going to work, all because of this one vow. I also had somebody who in a past life had said, they were newly married, they were young, and the woman had died after about 6 months. And so this person made a vow, I will never, never love anybody but you. I love you so much, I will wait for you for forever. Guess what? His soul was still waiting. That's why he couldn't bring someone in. There's so many, many things. A disease can come in from a past life. You can bring that in. Pains, aches and pains can come in from a past life. Any kind of disease can come in. So when we do this work, we can release that if the person's ready. And if they're not, we make sure we ask what they need to do, and we work to heal the stuff that's no longer important that they've been hanging on to. For me, the way to raise your vibration permanently, because we can raise our vibration through prayer and meditation and we go up, but then we hit reality and we're right back down in there again. The way to raise your vibration permanently, if you have think of your aura, and in your auric field, you've got all these little pixels, black and white, black and white, black and white, because there really is no gray, it's only black and white, right? When you stand back, it looks gray. The more black, the darker the gray, the lighter the gray, the more white. Every one of these, because we hold our memories in our auric field. So every one of these little pixels is either black or white. Through many, many lifetimes, you have either fear or love, because fear is the absence of love. So when you're going through life, we can raise that vibration permanently, but then we come back down. The way to raise your vibration permanently is to release the traumas, the fears, the heartaches, the shame, blame, and guilt, all that stuff from past lives. When you do that, you've turned the light back on. And once you've healed that, it doesn't go out again. So for me, the more healing work that we do, the higher we raise our vibration. You don't even realize what's being done, because you may go in thinking, we only think of being sick as on the physical level. But that's not true. Your physical body is the overflow from the spirit body. So if you are, it's trying to tell you, your spirit body's saying, hey, you got too much of this stuff. You got to let go of it. And when you finally release that, it's reflected in the physical body. So you want to make sure that we do this work. It's an ongoing process. It never ends because we've had so many lifetimes. We have so many of these memories, these hurts, these pains. And if you think about, go back to the Middle Ages, weren't we really cruel back then? That's why they were called the Dark Ages. There was a reason for it. People were cruel. But look where we've come over time. But you still have those memories, those hurts and pains. They're still stored back there. So that's why we want to do the healing work. And it doesn't matter how it's done. Everybody that does the healing work is channeling. They're channeling information on what they need to do for you. They are channeling healing energy. The higher their vibration, the more pure energy coming in. What I teach in my classes is if you have a funnel and it's filled with mud and you try to put water in there, what happens? It either doesn't come through or it's muddy water. The clearer the vessel you are as healing practitioners, the clearer the energy that's coming through that's going to go through them, and it's not going to block. And that's why when I teach my healing classes, I teach my practitioners, you have to keep working on yourself. You are more than just this lifetime. You have to heal not just the present, but the past as well. They're all connected, just like the weed. You may be this one part up here, but underneath you may have shame, blame, guilt, sadness, heartbreaking, all these different things coming down. And that's what we want to work on in releasing. Okay? And like I said, when you go all the way back to that root of that, everything else falls out with it. You don't even have to know what it is. That's the beauty. And if you can't go back into a past life, then what we do is we do a surrogate then. If you like, then somebody will come in and we do a surrogate. Marcella is also a wonderful surrogate now that she's here. I've worked with Marcella before. Can I tell about the yeast rolls? Whenever I love the information that always comes through. When we did the past life regression with Marcella, she wanted to know why she was always attracted when she goes through really tough times, challenging times in life. She always had to go for yeast rolls, and not just any kind. Yeah, with the cinnamon and all that on stuff on top of it. And so she wanted to know why that happens, and the answer came back. It always had to be yeast rolls too, and what the answer came back was because she is learning to rise above the situation. I love it. Everything is symbolic, everything. And one lady I did just recently, she was a hairdresser and wanted to know if she was on the right path, and they said yes, she chose to be a hairdresser because she wanted to empower women through beauty. You know, somebody might have thought a hairdresser is just a mundane, dreary job. It's not much. Every job is important. And that's why for me here at White Dove, it doesn't matter what job you're doing. Every job is important. We're like a wheel, and everyone that's a part of White Dove is a spoke on that wheel. And I'm only the cog in the middle of the wheel to keep things moving. No one is greater than another. No one is less than another. And we all work together to help each other on our healing journey. And that's the beauty of White Dove. So we are going to set the intention now to go back to a lifetime that was good. We are not going to see anything that was bad because this session is not about healing. This is more about there's no, oh my gosh, what if I see something I don't like or whatever. Sorry, this was Jenny, that's why I had to look at her. And it was amazing because once you go back and you look at it, usually what you fear that you once were, you were. That's one thing I've learned. If you were afraid you might have been this, you were that person. But when you go back and look, it's no big thing, is it?
No.
It's nothing, and it's nothing to be afraid of. Because also at the end of that past life, I ask, what were you learning? Because remember, this is the school. And we are always learning something. We learn through adversity. We do not learn through the good times. So when we have a taste of healing here with Source here, Source will push us to our limit. And we might get mad, and we might have to vent it for a little bit, but then after that, it settles in. We realize what it is. We get the message. And the beautiful thing is we grow, because that adversity is how we grow. So as long as you're in life, there will be adversity. But you have to look at what the lesson is behind it, and you also have to look for the gift that you are receiving in it, because there is always, always, always a gift. Okay? So we're going to set this intention. Take a few nice, deep, cleansing breaths. Now, when I start this out, we're going to say, can you see? And a lot of people can't see. And it's not about seeing something in your mind. Imagine it. So if I say, see a red bird, I don't expect you to see one flying around. I want you to imagine a red bird that you once saw in your lifetime. If you can't see it yet, that's still okay. Get a sense, a feeling of what it might be. Did it make you happy when you saw it? What did you see? What did you feel? Do something to get into a memory of what I'm asking you to see, because that's the part of the brain we're working with, through the memories. Okay? So if you're ready, feet flat on the floor, legs uncrossed, because anytime you cross your legs, you're doing healing work or anything like that, you created the block. It tells me right away somebody's blocking. So we automatically make sure your hands and legs are uncrossed. Take a nice deep couple cleansing breaths. Okay, if you're ready, we'll begin. Now, you don't have to answer to me when I ask this question. I'm going to still ask the question, but I just want to, when I say, do you see a red bed, just kind of nod your head, okay? Because that way I know that everybody's getting it. If I were to say to you, see a red bird, could you do that for me? See a yellow flower. See a blue car. I want you to just drift down off that cloud, back down, down, down to the surface. It won't be anything sudden, just like a leaf drifting gently down from a tree, going back down to the surface. And as you come back down, I want you to look around and see what you see. Look out around you. Are there mountains? Are you on a farm, in a valley, by the river? Where are you? Take in all of your surroundings. What do you see? What are you standing on? Look up, look down, look all around. Do you see any people? What are they doing? What are they wearing? Look down at you. What are you wearing? Does your body feel masculine or feminine? What clothes are you wearing? Are you wearing any jewelry or ornamentation of any type? Are you holding anything? Take a good look around. we're going to remember this when you come out. And now I want you to go over to where you live. Stand outside of your house or whatever place it is that you live, no matter where it is. Take a look around. What does it look like on the outside? Walk around. Sometimes someone may have been an animal or a mermaid. It doesn't matter. If you're in the water, swim around a little bit. Look at your surroundings. And when you're ready, I want you to go inside the place where you live and go from room to room. Note everything that's there. Some houses may have one room, some may have more. Are there any pictures or anything that might tell you? Do you live alone? Do you have a family? Who is living with you? Are you young? Are you older? Take note of all this. And now we're going to leave this scene, and we're going to a special time in this lifetime. So I want you to move forward to a day that was very, very special to you. A time that made your heart filled with love. What's taking place? What do you see? Feel the love. Feel the joy. See the excitement of all the people around you. Or even if you're just by yourself, feel the excitement. Bring this energy back in with you into this lifetime. We want you to really connect with it so that you can bring it back with you. Feel it. Let it become a part of you. And then when you're ready, we're going to leave this important time, this day that meant so much to you. And we're going to go to another day, another time that was important, another day that brought you joy. It could be a birth of a child. It could be a graduation day, a ceremony. Whatever it is, a wedding. See what it is. Feel that love, that joy, that beauty. Feel how happy you are. And again, we're going to connect with that happiness and bring it into your heart so we can bring this beautiful joy, this beautiful happiness forward in life. So that when we're through, you're going to be able to feel it and experience it in everything you do. Because we want to remember, life is good. Life is a blessing. And now we're going to do one more time. We're going to move forward again once more. And we're going to go to the end of this lifetime, to the very last day of this lifetime. And what's happening here? Remember, we're in a lifetime where all good has happened. There's nothing that is not good that's happened. Who's around you? Are you surrounded by family and loved ones? Where are you? What's happening? Can you feel the love of those around you? It's sad saying goodbye, but we also know that we will be seeing them again. For life does not end. It is constantly moving forward. And we know with all our heart, with all our soul, that we will come together again one day. send all these wonderful beings your love and allow their love to come to you. Again, we're going to bring this wonderful love into your life so that it will help you as you move forward in your current life. And now whatever has happened, and you're now on the other side. And with your spirit guides now. And I want you to ask your spirit guides to help you when you are going through difficult times, to remember this beautiful, beautiful feeling of love and joy. I want you to ask them to help you remember that you are born in love, you are loved, you are love. And to remember to take time to feel that love within you. To know that you are never alone. You are always surrounded by a host of wonderful beings from light that are sending you love and joy all the time. Ask them to help you remember to ask for help again and again and again, and to ask to feel their love, especially when you're in times where you're struggling. Because that love will pull you through no matter what happens. That love will pull you through. Ask them for your wisdom and guidance so that you will always be able to hear it, so that you will always keep that channel clear, so that you will never feel lost. You will always know your way. And we are also going to ask them now for a healing for you, for whatever it is that you would like to release that is no longer important to you from this lifetime or any other lifetime that you have lived, are living, will live. Anything that you no longer need, you are ready to release. Any disease, any thoughts, any feelings, shame, blame, guilt, abandonment, betrayal, whatever issue it is, you no longer need it. Ask them to release it so that through this past life regression, you will be able to raise your vibration again, even more than it was before. Spend a little time with your guide right now. If you have any questions you'd like to ask your guides, ask them now. I'll give you a few minutes and then we'll come back. And now it's time to end this session, so we're going to ask the subconscious to receive back to where it belongs. And I want all of the entities from the other lives that we were speaking to receive back to where they belong, into the past, to the time where they belong, with much love and gratitude for the information that's been given. And remember, the things you are watching are from the past, they belong in the past, and they will stay in the past. We leave them in the past. We only bring them forward as a curiosity to learn from, to have information to help apply to the present lifetime. In this way, they have importance, but as you listen to what has happened, as you work to remember what has happened and go over the material and put it into place, it will not bother you in any way, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or physically. Now, on the count of 10, you're going to be wide awake, feeling wonderful all over, just as though you've had a nice nap, a nice sleep. You will bring all of the love and joy and blessings you have felt from viewing this lifetime back into your present lifetime, into this day and this time, this space, so that it will help you as you move forward in life, remembering you are a beautiful being of light. You are born of love. You will die in love. You are love. You are loved. 1, you're beginning to breathe a little faster. Your blood is beginning to circulate a little faster because you're beginning to wake up now. 3, 4, you are becoming aware of the physical body, very much aware of the physical body. You can move your arms and legs around to get the muscles working and the blood circulating, because it gets tiring lying in one or sitting in one position like this. We're getting everything moving again because you're very much aware of the physical body. You're focused on it now because you're beginning to wake up now. 5, 6, you're becoming aware of the sounds in the room and the sounds outside of the room. You're very much aware of your physical surroundings. You're oriented back here in this time and this place, and you're beginning to wake up now. 7, 8, you're coming up very nicely now, very nicely. 9, 10, you're wide awake, feeling wonderful all over. Everybody back? Now, typically when I do this, I like to have a person laying down, because as they're laying down, it's important for me to watch their body, because their body gives me signs as to which state that they're in. We will always want to get to the somnambulistic state. It's the state right before you fall into a deep sleep. And that's the best state to be in to do this work. So that's what I'm watching for, and that's why I like to have a person lie down, because they're a little bit more comfortable than just sitting in a chair. So even when I do this work, I've done it via Skype with Neil and others. Beverly, we set it up with a iPad or computer so that I can watch the body. I've got to see the body. And the funny thing is, one time I was doing it with Eric, and I forgot about the sun going down. So we started out, and I could watch him, and I could see him, and then the sun was going down, and I'm thinking, oh dear, we're getting into darkness, and I'm not going to see his body. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. But there wasn't anything I could do. I couldn't interrupt it. And it came up pitch black. I couldn't see anything, but Eric was way out. I knew where he was, and I knew he was fine. So, but I thought, okay, now I'm going to have to remember that when I do these long distance again. It's phenomenal. It's amazing how it'll change. One lady I worked with just recently, she's my hairdresser, and we went through a beautiful past life regression with her, went through 3 different past lives, and it shifted and changed her life. Usually when you come out, you feel so different already. And when I went back to see her 4 weeks later, I asked her how she was doing, and she went, oh my God, can't believe it. I lost 14 pounds and I didn't even try it. And a guy who I had met years ago, who I went to school with and knew for a long time, he's a really good guy. He was living out out on the West Coast, and he just called, and he's moving back to Toledo and wants to get together with me. She was having trouble drawing the right kind of person to her, so this was really good for her, because now she found somebody who's worthy of her. So it's really cool to see the things that happen with somebody once they have finished the past life regression and we've done this healing work in. Every time we get stronger and stronger with each thing. A good example is, if you think of, you start out as a big ball of energy, because that's really all we are, is a big ball of energy. And as we go through these different traumas in lifetime, a part of us will spin off. Have you ever heard somebody older, when they've been with somebody all their life, and they say, a part of me died with them? A part didn't die, a part spun off. So what happens, we have all these lifetimes and these parts spin off, and all of a sudden we start getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and then pretty soon we don't even know who we are anymore because we've lost so much of ourselves. That's the important part about doing the healing work, is calling back all those soul parts of it, because every time you do the healing work, no matter what form it may be, could be past life regression, could be Reiki, could be touch for health, could be quantum healing. It doesn't matter what it is. The important thing is parts of you are coming back. You're stronger, you know who you are and where you're going in life. And every time you do this healing work, you're stronger and more sure of who you are and where you're going in life. And your light shines brighter, because all those little black pixels, remember, are now have light in. And as you heal 7 generations before and 7 generations after, if they so choose to accept the healing. But not only that, everyone you know, because we're all connected, is also going to receive healing as well, just because you did the work. Healing is important. It's also another way of channeling, and that's what I love about it. So the best healers are wonderful channels. So with that, I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to ask all of you to talk. Would anybody like to share their experience with us? We'll pass the microphone around.
When I went back, I was in a beautiful farmhouse, all white. Everything was white. And gingerbread trim around everything. It was a 2-story older home. And I was a man in that one. And my happiest day was when I married the love of my life. And I didn't go much further with it. I just felt such warmth and such love. And it was a very, as always, it's a very nice experience.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember anything, but there was a tear coming out of my eye
Nice.
when I came to.
Tears of joy, unconditional love. When you feel unconditional love, it will bring you to a state of tears. We can't stop it. Don't try to stop it. It's pure love. Mm-hmm. We'll just pass it around, and anybody who wants to talk can. Marcella's back there. Lori. Marcella always gets something. She's good.
I went back to the woods. I was in a little house, kind of, little dome-shaped house. The woods were beautiful. They were thick. The clouds, just kind of what you would see kind of on a picture. I've been there a few times before, and it's amazing. So.
Beverly, did you want to talk?
One of the days it was my wedding day, and I was the bride, and the room was just filled with light, and everyone, I was in a room with a bunch of women in my family, and everyone was just so happy and excited, and I was so happy and excited, and I got a glimpse of, I think I got married in a house, and I got a glimpse of the hallway, and then my groom was at the end, and I was so excited. And then the next memory I saw, I was older, and I held my grandchild for the first time, and I started crying because I was so happy. And I felt like it was somebody I'd already known for so long, and I had them back, and I was so happy. But that's
Nice.
all I had.
I was a little blonde-haired girl back on the prairie, maybe 4 or 5 years old, playing with flowers outside the home, and I remember going back inside and having a very raggedy doll that was made up, and just giving that lots of love. And then I remember getting married and then having children, and that was, I felt that I now have realized that doll had transformed now into the real life of that. And then when I died in that life, I remember the whole family being around me by a bed, everybody there, and everybody was sad to see me go, but we were all happy. There was a lot of love there.
Nice.
I was a horse. I was a white horse.
People can be air.
Yeah.
I've had people who were air.
I felt air when I died, and I felt one. I felt lots of white light and lots of colors as well in the top. And I don't know, it was a person or whatever it was, showed me the feeling, the oneness. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And I had two little horse as a kid. It was beautiful. The happiest day was the day that I was dying with my kids.
Now look at her eyes. Horses have beautiful eyes. Does she not have beautiful eyes?
Oh, thank you.
I have to tell real quick, we bring different things in with us to help remind us of that. So, her eyes, to help her remind her of this, because this was a beautiful lifetime. So when she sees the eyes, it's a nice memory to remember that lifetime, and it'll pull her back. So anytime you feel like you're struggling in life, just look at your eyes, and you'll connect back with it. I had one lady who, I absolutely love her dearly, but she had been on the purple planet. And she was a whale on the purple planet and absolutely loved being a whale, playing and splashing and everything. And then she was told she was to come here, and she did not want to come here. She resented that. And so, you know who I'm talking about. And so she wound up bringing that whale body in with her in this lifetime to help her remember that lifetime. The only problem is once we get in here, we don't like what we created. And so she's kind of stuck with this body. And if you were to look at her, you could see where she's like the whale, wider on top and going down and then coming back out again. And it's phenomenal. It's so much fun to see that. But she brought that in with her to remind her of her lifetime on the purple planet. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I think the teaching was like because I could see the horse, which was just around and being joyful with everything, with lavenders and things. It's beautiful. Thank you.
No one else? Okay, who did not go back?
I'm not sure.
Tell us. You might find out you did
It's
it.
the last time someone said that.
In shamanic journeying, we have so many people that say, I didn't get it, but when we ask them to tell the story, it was always there.
Well, there's no story. It's just when you were talking, I felt a lot of heaviness in my body, almost to the point where I felt like I couldn't hold my neck up. But as you were speaking with certain things, and you were asking to go back to a certain time where you felt happy, the picture that emerged was the Last Supper. And like India with the scarves, the whole body dress. And then when you asked about going to a home, I saw like a hut with dirt floor. And that's really all I got out of it. But I think there's a little bit of trust as to whether or not that's really.
And I think this is really good because for Jenny, remember, she had that fear of going back. And I think that heaviness you were feeling was that fear of, oh my God, can I do this? Am I going to let myself do it? But you let it go. And then it came in. So you're having a session with Source today?
No, I'm not.
Yes, you should. Because now you need to find out were you
Whether
there.
I was accurate or not.
Yeah. No, it is accurate, but to explain who you were, why you were there. Okay, Allison and Emily? No? Did you two go back? Did you see anything?
I think so, but I'm not sure. So I'd rather just
Okay.
figure it out later.
So
Okay.
Pat, I just saw color. I mean, I saw a vivid purple, just really swirling purples.
We have,
And, sorry.
thank you.
I got to see purple, the color purple. They should make a movie of that, shouldn't they? Just saying. Anyway, a lot of color. Normally, I don't see color like that. And then pretty bright white light, kind of, when we did. But as far as envisioning form, no.
You could have been somewhere in between lives or somewhere on a different planet or something. In this Earth, we have a physical body. In other planets, we do not. And we recognize each other because, remember, we are just only these balls of energy just swirling and moving through life. We recognize each other by the color that we are and the sacred geometry within us, because everyone has a unique sacred geometry. Everyone has a different color. So the different colors determine where you're at on your spiritual progress. Purple's of higher vibration. White is very high. So you were probably somewhere and seeing other places in that form. May not have been on Earth. May have been on a different planet. Beverly, you were going to say something.
Well, I don't know if I was just imagining this, but the first thing I saw was that I had this kind of a beautiful headdress thing, but it was over my third eye, and it had clear quartz crystals right here, and I was wearing all white. And then when you said go to your home or house or something, it was just like all kind of glass, and then I was totally out. That's all I remember.
That's nice. Probably at a time, maybe Lemuria or someplace way back in time. It could have been.
Maybe, yeah.
Did everybody enjoy it?
Yes, always.
Now do you know you can go back? It is possible. Jim, did you see anything? No. Okay, I wondered because Jim is our engineer. Jim is our engineer who we oftentimes have trouble getting back at. Engineers and accountants, people who are more creative usually go back much easier because they can access that part of the mind. When you're working with engineers and accountants, they're trying to control an outcome. You know, when you're an engineer, what are you doing? You're trying to design something and make it work. So you're in that part of the mind, the analytical planet. An accountant has to figure out where they're going and how much money we have and how much we have to spend and that sort of thing. So you're working towards an outcome, and that's really where it gets hard. So when you can just let that go, you don't have to have an outcome, and you can just let it go and just allow yourself to go wherever you need to go. It doesn't matter. You can feel it. You can go back. But just remember, it's only you stopping it because you're trying to control the outcome.
I would so much like to.
I know. But this is where it's wonderful having a surrogate come in. So Jenny's done it before, where we've had a surrogate. And so when we do that, we have the surrogate come in. And the really cool thing is, even in the middle of it, somebody's doing a past life regression. I always make sure they know where the bathroom is, because quite often they have to go to the bathroom in the middle of it. And they will get up. Neil's done this. They will get up and go to the bathroom, and they'll never remember it. And I've even seen people where they get up and go to the bathroom with their eyes closed the entire time.
As long as you remember to zip back.
She said, as long as you remember to zip it back up. But it really is. It's a wonderful, wonderful experience. It's a wonderful way to learn more about you and what's going on within you and how to move through things when you're really stuck. It's a wonderful way, to heal. Very, very deep, deep healing. And that's what's beautiful, because then when we heal that, you heal the present. When you have more understanding, the first step in healing always is acceptance. If you cannot accept that something happened, you are stuck in blame, shame, guilt, abandonment, betrayal, and all those other emotions. You cannot heal. And that's why in that lifetime you won't be able to heal because you were stuck in those emotions. But when you go back, you know, you're working from the future, looking to the past, you don't have those emotions anymore, so you can see objectively what's going on, and you can just accept, oh my God, it happened. And once you do that, then the healing begins. So bottom line, don't let your emotions cloud the ending. Don't let your emotions get in the way. Accept what happened, because until you can just say, oh my God, it happened, you cannot move forward. You will only drown in your emotions. So just accept it happened, and then let the healing begin. Okay? Thank you all for coming today.